10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
All systems go.
You're listening to Sudbury News Talk.
I want to show you something.
Stand by.
On the morning shift.
Anything
Could happen.
Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift.
And good morning, everyone. Welcome to Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift. I'm AJ Walsh. Glad to be here with you. Thankful that you're here with us. Seems like it's been a while, but it's been a couple days because yesterday there was a power outage early in the morning. We weren't able to have the show. However, the power was restored partially halfway through where we could have had the show anyways, but it is what it is. We couldn't have predicted that. Glad to have the power back on. Power is a great thing, actually, and power is going to be, I think, the theme of the next few years in the world, especially on the show and in Sudbury. It's about power, not only the power that powers your house and your car and everything that makes the world go around. It's the power that people have by telling you how to use your power, and the people in control of the power of the power, the powerful that control the power, they control you. But is that true? Anyways, we'll have a little bit of a foray into that today. I'm just going to see if I have some of the videos that I need lined up. And hopefully we do. So let's just see what we got here, because I don't know what I have on
The last
standby, but we'll see. I'm not sure. I might have deleted some of them, but maybe not so much. Let's see. I hope that paused.
What is at stake?
No, it didn't. So there you go. I have to go back. Either way, I have some of the videos that aren't there anymore that I would have hoped that it would be there. But I'm not worried about it. I'll still have our deep dive today ready to go after our local news and our local weather. Glad to be back with you. Hope everyone had a great Canada Day. We're live on CKLU 96.7 FM every weekday morning, and glad to be here with you. Thankful that you're here with us. We're streaming live at cklu.ca. If you click on the Radio Player Canada app on that website, you can stream us. If you download it, you can take us with you and listen to us anywhere, anytime on any electronic device that will play a music app or a radio app. We're also streaming live at facebook.com/Sudbury News, youtube.com/Sudbury News. Make sure to like, share, subscribe, and follow the channel and the page, and we will appreciate that if you can do whatever it takes to spread the word of the show. As the algorithms don't really do a good job, because we talk about a lot of things that algorithms don't like. And so we have to organically use the tool as if it was no help from algorithms. We also are found on demand on those two platforms, along with x.com/Sudbury News and our Sudbury.news website, which is a news aggregator, aggregates all the local news into one webpage, our service to the community and to the local news organizations in light of the legislation that Canada has that does not allow Facebook or Instagram to share news. The most popular platform out there is not allowed to share news. And some might say, well, no, that's not true. It's just because they won't pay their fair share. Well, that's your opinion. And I could show a lot that would make the case for the fact that it's very convenient, the fact that news cannot be shared anymore on Facebook. The only democratic country, the only country in the world that has Facebook and is not allowed to share news. Now, some communist countries out there aren't even allowed to have Facebook. But I mean, if you just take the danger out of Facebook, then for certain people who don't like the fact that you can share things once you know them with everybody, because, you know, there's a lot of people that are on Facebook. It's the most widely used social media platform in the world. Anyways, so that's why we have the website. You just click on the Sudbury News Talk tab on that website and you can watch us on demand. We're going to dive right into the show, start off with a little bit of weather. Remember to comment. We'll do our best to get your comments up on the screen, whether you're on YouTube or you're on Facebook. Conversation continues after the show on Facebook, but we'll do our best to get your comments up on the screen for those watching, right, for those listening, and we'll be back with more news headlines and your comments after this. And as usual, Sudbury weather brought to you by sudburyweather.ca. Currently, it is 14 degrees out there. It is partly cloudy. Today, we can expect a mix of sun and cloud, wind moderate, gusting to 40 this afternoon, and then calming down again afterwards. High of 23 today, humidex 25, UV index 7 or high. Tonight, clear. Fog patches developing overnight. Wind moderate, becoming light this evening, low of 11. And again, that's tomorrow will be 23 degrees, mix of sun and cloud. Friday, 25 degrees, sunny. Saturday, 30% chance of showers, 29 degrees. 26 on Sunday with a 60% chance, 60% chance of showers. And then 30% chance of showers and high of 26 on Monday. 26, mix of sun and cloud on Tuesday and Wednesday. And that is your long-term forecast. And that is your Sudbury weather brought to you by sudburyweather.ca. We'll be back with news headlines, your comments, and more right after this. Okay, so thanks for being with us, everyone. We really, really appreciate getting together with you every morning, weekday morning, to discuss our local news headlines and headlines abroad and issues that affect us here locally and non-locally. Good morning, Northern Hillbilly. Thanks for being on. What's the purple icon mean? I don't know. And good morning, Monique. Thanks for being on. Much appreciated. And David, good morning. Ankles up. So that's an interesting one. I haven't heard yet, but yeah, it looks like that's what's going on. Elbows definitely are not up these days, and really appreciate that. And Judy, good morning to you. Thanks for being on. Monique, good morning. Sudbury, smiley emoji. Hazel, good morning. Prayer emoji, very needed these days. And morning, Vin, thanks for being on. Pat, good morning. Folks, peace sign. Belinda, good morning. The world will try to mold you. Remain the sculptor, not the clay. That is a triple heart emoji. And no matter what, we're molded by our environment, whether it's through our family, our peers, our media, you name it, we are molded. And it's important for us to be the gardener, so to speak, if you want to have a similar analogy with our mind, which is the garden. It's, you got to weed it out, get all the weeds out, and just have the things in there that are going to benefit us, kind of thing. It's the same idea as a sculptor and the clay. And however, if you allow yourself to be molded by those who are official sculptors that sculpt, gurus and coaches and positive people, God even, obviously that's the main one, allow us then to be sculpted in a better form than we are now, but don't allow those that are trying to sculpt us into something that's negative, we need to be aware of, definitely. So something that's been on my mind lately, thanks for that, Belinda, and that's why I use the garden analogy, because I was out weeding the other day, and I was like, wow, this is just like our lives, if we don't take care of these weeds, they can get out of control. And you really need to take care of them. And if you take care of them as they just start growing, they're a lot easier to maintain rather than if you just let them go and you end up with a bunch of weeds instead of, vegetables and fruit and all kinds of good things for you. Marianne, good morning to you. Thanks for being on. From Barry, Wet Barry, that is. Liked and shared as usual. Thanks for that. And Jerome, good morning all. Muscle emoji with the Canadian flag emoji. And thank you again for the videos that you sent recently. I've seen everyone except for the last couple. Very good. And I'm hoping to share one of the ones that you shared on the show this morning because it goes along with some of the things I wanted to talk about in terms of a deep dive. Yes, the money is the power. We'll get more into that a little bit later this morning. And good morning, Nana. Blessings, everyone. Heart emoji, exclamation point. Hope you're having a great morning, Nana. Monique, Grand Rising, heart emoji, exclamation points, ×3. Much appreciated. And Marianne, glad to see we got the power back. And I am too. What would life be without power? Well, we know it when it's gone. And it's definitely bizarre. You ever have those times where the power is out and you just reach for the remote, or you go for things that, it's just second nature to do things that require power, right? And it takes a while to get used to not having power. Okay, so let's see here. Monique says, and so many people still don't get it. Yes, that's true, but we can only do what we can. Jerome says they can't stand the truth. And hopefully we will shed some light on that today with Liette being on here from Collingwood. Hand clap emoji. Good morning to you. Hope you're having a good morning. And Belinda says, when the government is holding themselves accountable, when a government holding themselves accountable to nobody, it should not be trusted by anybody. And again, that's going to go along with the theme of the deep dive today once we get into that. So let's check in with some of the local stories we got going on here in Greater Sudbury, coming from our local news aggregator, which is Sudbury.news. If you haven't been there, check it out. It's got all the news you need from the local outlets. And on the right-hand side, you got your weather right at the top. And then you got, you can join up on our mailing list. And then you have the City of Greater Sudbury on the right-hand side. City selects construction manager for cultural hub at Tom Davies Square, right? So there's the stories coming out of the media room for the city. So if you want to catch all the latest from the City of Sudbury, we got that there. 2025 Canada Day Municipal Services Schedule. That's old news now, but you could have checked it out and saw what was going on in terms of your garbage day and things like that if it was on Canada Day. City Council wrap up. That's something that the City Council does after every City Council meeting for you to get the Coles Notes version if anyone's old enough to know what I'm alluding to. It's basically a summary of their meeting that they have. They put that up so you can catch that on the right-hand side of Sudbury.news. And then you got your Ontario government newsroom, so all the news coming out of the Ontario government. You have Canadian government newsroom. So, and then you have the Prime Minister's office, which is, I don't know why it's different than the Canadian newsroom, but it is. So look at that, eh? You got some extra. You got your weather. You got the local news from Greater City of Sudbury, province, Canada, the nation, and then you have the Prime Minister's office on top of that. So, and all the local news you need aggregated right into the main feed. As you can see here, we're just going to go through and find some of the stories we wanted to talk about today on the show. And Minnow Lake, disc golf. If you're interested in disc golf, if you know what that is, it's golf, but playing it with a frisbee. It's not the plans for the city in Minnow Lake isn't entirely popular. So you want to read about why. There's some pushback on having the disc golf area designated in Minnow Lake, why that's an issue. You got Northern Lights Festival coming up this Friday, I believe. It's kicking off. Bell Park will come alive with food, fun, and, of course, music. So the Northern Lights Festival. Valet, there's some changing of the guard there. You want to read about that with the new CEO and some of the plans that they have for the city. You have some accolades given for some Sudbury businesses from different organizations of being the safest and the most climate sensitive. So you want to read more on that. Sudbury man admits guilt in cocaine weapons bust that closed Highway 400. That's Sudbury.com reporting on that. Sudbury man's trial abruptly canceled when he pleaded guilty to drug trafficking and possessing prohibited firearms in connection with the September 2023 incident. As you can see, our courts now dealing with things that happened 2 years ago because they are backlogged. They had the drone show on Canada Day, right? Downtown, over Ramsey Lake. And instead of having fireworks, we have the drones. And I just see the picture there of the Canada flag with all the drones making it. And I'm just wondering how many birds were killed in the drone show myself. That's just the first thing that came to my mind. And so I don't know if there's any bird activists out there that are going to take exception with the drone shows now. Not sure exactly why we've changed from fireworks to drones everywhere, but it is what it is. Apparently, the Sioux had fireworks. Espanola had fireworks. And if you really want to see a great fireworks show, you go to the Sioux on July the 4th, and the United States has their July the 4th, Independence Day celebration, and they put on a big shoe, a really big shoe. And it's really great to see the huge fireworks display. OPP investigating a death in the Sturgeon River in West Nipissing. The Nipissing West detachment of the OPP are investigating a death after a body was found floating in the upper Sturgeon River on June the 26th, about 5:30 p.m. The OPP, along with the West Nipissing Fire Services, responded to the call. The investigation is in its early stages, so there's a body found. It's not great there. And also here in Sudbury, we continue the unfortunate reporting of many violent crimes. And you have CBC, you have Sudbury Star, and you have Sudbury.com all reporting on the same incident that happened in the wee hours Wednesday of a stabbing on Lorne Street. We'll get to that in a second. Have a few other I just want to make sure we have everybody's comments here and some shout outs in the morning coming up. We got Sheila joining us from Quebec, smiley emoji. We got Andrew joining us from his residence, I'm sure. Good morning, Andrew. We got Mary Ann. Drone show, no thanks. We got Lee joining us. Oh, you got the generator running this morning. Yeah, well, we got power. It's from the big generator. But yes, drones, surveillance of the future. And Liette Collingwood had a great fireworks show. That's awesome. Was not feeling Canada Day, not feeling proud of what Canada symbolizes today. That's Belinda, and I appreciate that. We're going to be talking more about that in our deep dive. 100% for sure. Exactly, making it normal for people to see them, pushing that digital crap. And that's Marianne. So Lee, what about these two off-duty cops with the murder of the young guy and now the stabbing of the black guy? Well, now that's news. If you want to share a little bit more details on that, we'll find out more on that. But right now, we're going to be looking at, and Denise, blessings everyone. Thanks for being on. And Marianne said she celebrated it as being with family and nothing Canada on Canada Day. Unfortunately, that's the sentiment of quite a few people these days. But the police arrest a suspect following an intimate partner violence death. This is from CBC. Sudbury police have arrested a man after finding the 63-year-old woman who died with multiple stab wounds And that was 12:30 a.m. This coming from Sudbury Star now. 12:30 a.m. Police were dispatched to a residence on Lawrence Street, recording to a domestic incident. Officers were told 2 women had sustained serious injuries after the violent altercation. And yes, a younger woman in her 30s was found outside the home when police arrived, but when they went in, there was a woman found deceased due to stab wounds, multiple stab wounds. So we'll find out more, hopefully, on this particular incident in Greater Sudbury, as we do have violent crimes on the rise, these type of violent crimes on the rise in the greater city of Sudbury. And you might have them in your community as well if you're not from here and you're watching or listening, including Marvin, who's joining us from Alberta. Thanks for being on. And Northern Hillbillies saying, make sure to get all of your preparation in order, food, water, all that stuff, as the power went out, is just a kind of reminder of how vulnerable we could be in any particular situation. Lorraine, good morning to you. Sad there were children who witnessed that murder and attempted murder. Those kids will never be the same. I agree with that. It is very sad. And Estelle, good morning to you. Smiley emoji. Thanks for being on. So very sad news in Sudbury there. Condolences go out to the family of the woman who was murdered, the family that had to witness all of that, the one that was injured, everything that's going to happen there. Prayers and thoughts go out to those, and hopefully, the person can face whatever punishment that would be in line for that, and it doesn't take 5 years in the system in order to deal with it. Anyways, it's what I don't know. It's very sad that we report on so much violence in the city, so much crime. It's really unfortunate. It's really sad, and there's a lot of crime going on in Canada in general, which is really sad. Sad to see. It's a trend not only Sudbury is dealing with, but Canada in general. And so with that, it's been allowed to grow rampant, and Blender News is basically going to shed a little bit of light on how rampant it's gotten, and some statistics that'll blow your mind. So if you haven't heard these statistics before, I know you're going to. Some of us are familiar with what's been happening in Canada and behind the scenes type of stuff, but a lot of us are not. And yeah, it's really sad. So here's a Blender for a bit of a report on that.
The Canadian government isn't just failing to stop crime, it's been absorbed by it. Criminal organizations are not only operating openly within Canada, they've embedded themselves into the very institutions meant to keep them in check. And the consequences for ordinary Canadians are staggering. Take, for instance, the way organized crime inflates government spending. It's not just corruption, it's a straight-up racket. The Criminal Intelligence Service of Canada reports that organized crime drives up government contract costs by 50%. In Montreal, a whistleblower exposed that the mafia controlled 80% of road contracts. Yet the city's infrastructure remains in a constant state of decay despite massive budgets. This isn't incompetence, it's by design. Compromised officials funnel taxpayer money into construction companies controlled by organized crime, creating an endless cycle of half-finished projects with no incentive to complete them. If the work actually got done, the money would stop flowing. Meanwhile, Canadians now pay more in taxes than they do for food, shelter, and clothing combined, only to see their hard-earned money disappear into a system built to serve criminals, not citizens. The grip of criminal networks is so tight that law enforcement is often too scared to even intervene. In British Columbia, organized crime ran casino loan shark operations so openly that they had designated parking spots. Authorities admitted they even feared stepping in. In Quebec, an inquiry found that organized crime had become untouchable, wielding control over government projects through intimidation, racketeering, and prostitution rings. Even Canada's intelligence agencies aren't immune. Cameron Ortiz, a former RCMP intelligence director, was caught tipping off money launderers while having access to top-secret Five Eyes intelligence. His case received little media coverage thanks to publication bans ensuring that Canadians remained unaware of just how deep the rot runs. And it runs deep. Criminals have even infiltrated government ID systems. Service Ontario offices were caught issuing fraudulent vehicle registrations with employees directly linked to a massive auto theft ring. They weren't just stealing cars, they were legitimizing stolen vehicles from inside the system. If organized crime has access to government official IDs, how many other critical documents have been compromised? Then there's the horrifying reality of Canada's missing persons crisis. While the official homicide rate in Canada remains low, the country's missing persons numbers are off the charts. British Columbia alone has a missing persons rate of 273 per 100,000 people, compared to just 8 per 100,000 in California. This means there is roughly 35 times more missing people per capita in BC than California. Why is this the case? Because if murders are reclassified as self-inflicted deaths or disappearances, then our government can continue to pretend that there isn't a problem. In which case, it might be a good time to mention that my mental health has never been better. Because even billionaires aren't safe. When Barry and Honey Sherman were murdered, police initially labeled it a domestic event, despite overwhelming evidence of a staged crime scene. In other words, Canada has reached a point where you can kill billionaires and the government will help you cover it up. The Canadian government is no longer just incompetent, it's a direct threat to the people it claims to represent. As Stephen Punwasi from Better Dwelling has exposed, corruption, crime, and government complicity aren't just incidental, they are structural. Canadians aren't merely being taxed into poverty, they're being ruled by a political class that is indistinguishable from criminals. The Canadian government...
Yeah, so there you go. I'm glad that repeated instead of going to another video. But well said, Blender News. Appreciate these guys. They're always spot on. A lot of research goes into what they're doing. They're doing what media actually should be doing. It's independent media. If you haven't heard of independent media, it's the alternative to the CBCs, the Sudbury Stars, the Sudbury.com, because they're just basically affiliates, local. Like the local news is one thing, and that's fine. And we talk about the local news all the time, but these larger stories, like connecting the dots of what's going on in our country and in the world, they're not doing that. They're just not doing that. And it takes people like these guys to be able to go out and actually do news. This is what news should be, what it used to be to some extent. But now, unfortunately, our media is paid for by the very government that should be held accountable by media. And so that just explains it right there, right? If you pay the media, you are not going to find them holding the hand that feeds them accountable and biting it. It just isn't going to happen. It just is what it is. If we can't connect that dot ourselves, I don't know what we're going to do. I don't know what we can do if we can't connect that dot. Government pays for the very watchdogs that are going to, keep them accountable. Just let that percolate for a while. So that's why independent media like that is so needed, and we're so grateful to have them. So thank you so much, guys, for that. Keep up the good work. And we're grateful that you're here, so that way we can utilize what you're doing and try and inform our listeners and people watching the show as much as possible. And I know a lot of people on the show are already understanding, and they already know all of this stuff anyways, right? So I'm wondering, I know I shared another one here. So now it's being ramped up. We see how prevalent the criminals are in the Canadian society, how systemic, as Blender News was able to point out, it's the system now. It just is a criminal system, and it benefits criminals. And basically, they've been able to have their way for years and years and years, and we're eventually going to run out of money to pay them. Like, our roads don't get made because it's going mostly to the criminal cartels that run these companies, right? It's no different than when you watch an old mafia movie, and the way the mafia are organized is they go to businesses and they say, look, you're going to give us a cut of your business. And the businesses go, no, I'm not giving you a cut of my business. Why would I give you a cut of my business? Because I'm going to protect you. I'm going to be, I got your back. If you ever run into any problems, anybody robs your store or whatever, no one's going to rob your store actually, because they know that you're one of ours because you're paying us. So if someone comes in here and messes with you, they got to mess with us. But in order for that to happen, you got to give us a cut of your, you got to pay for our security, let's say. So that's how the mafia, one of the revenue streams they have, right? And so they're built right in, they're baked in. So then that just goes higher and higher to bigger and bigger businesses, and then gets into government, and it eventually, spreads until they're all working together, and they need to be paid, and they do their thing, and it's all part baked into the system. Criminals are baked into the system. That's what Blender News just did a really good job of doing. But now it's on a global scale, right? It's on a global scale. And they're going to be ramping this thing up globally. It's not just in Sudbury. It's not just in the province. It's in Canada. It's in the world. But now they're all getting together, and they got this plan for the world of this racket where they're going to basically get paid on a worldwide scale to do their criminal activity. But how are they going to do it? Well, again, Blender points that out again. With a reel here. So here we go.
Government just locked in their 2035 ban on gas-powered cars. Within a decade, you won't be allowed to buy a new gas-powered vehicle in Canada. Why? Well, Carney and the gang are claiming it's a bold step to save the planet, but that's just not true. Let's start with the obvious. Canada emits just 1.4% of global CO2 emissions. Transportation makes up just 28% of that, while EVs only reduce lifetime carbon emissions by about 24% compared to gas-powered cars. So even if we swapped every single vehicle for an EV overnight, the climate payoff would be 0.09% globally. So this isn't about the environment. As for the infrastructure required to power these EVs, according to the Fraser Institute, Canada will need up to an additional 95.1 terawatt hours to manage a nation of electric vehicles. That's more than 15% of our current capacity. We're talking about the equivalent of 10 new mega hydro dams or 13 large natural gas plants. That kind of overhaul takes decades, not 1 decade. And the cost? Natural Resources Canada estimates we'll need up to $294 billion in upgrades to support full EV adoption. So again, what's this really about? Well, control. The EV mandate is one piece of a much bigger puzzle intended to limit mobility, a puzzle that includes 15-minute cities, digital IDs, central bank digital currencies, and a growing web of censorship laws. You've heard about 15-minute cities, sold to you as a cute, eco-friendly neighborhood where everything you need is just a short walk away. What they don't tell you is that they're designed to limit your mobility, and this is not conspiratorial. It's literally the whole idea, everything you need within 15 minutes. But what happens when you've exited your zone too many times? In the UK, they've launched multiple pilot projects called traffic filter systems, where if you exceed your permitted allowance of entrances and exits, you pay fines. Something that will be much easier to enforce using digital IDs and your CBDC wallet, which of course will have other restrictions baked in. What is being pitched as convenient is actually a noose around your neck that the government can tighten if you don't play by their rules. Now add censorship to the mix. The Online Streaming Act, the Online News Act, and the pending Bill C-63, which proposes the subjective criminalization of hate speech. Every single one expands government control over what you can say, what you can see, and what platforms are allowed to share. That's not a coincidence. That's the narrative machine tightening its bolts and silencing dissent. And why are they doing this now? My guess is they know what's coming. In today's climate, housing is unaffordable, food prices are obscene, wages are stagnant, and the average family of 4 is going $8,000 further into debt every year just to survive in this country. However, what's coming could be a much bigger problem. A federal report from Policy Horizons Canada openly admits that by 2040, some Canadians may be foraging for food. Not because of some apocalyptic disaster, because of widening inequality. They describe a country split between haves and have-nots, where upward mobility is almost unheard of, and people are pushed to the edge just to survive. So, this is not about emissions or the climate. This is one piece of a mobility lockdown strategy disguised as environmental policy tied to a system of digital surveillance and economic control. It's a slow, methodical power grab by a government that knows the social contract is breaking.
And with that, right, so you have, well, no, the climate, it's a thing, right? Because, the climate's a thing and the planet's going to explode and we need to save it by taxing ourselves and moving into 15-minute cities, and we all need to be surveyed, and we all need to have a digital currency, and we all need to be controlled, and we all need to be told what we can buy and what we can't buy. We all need electric vehicles and all these things, right? But we just don't connect the dots. It's a criminal cartel that's global, and there's a design to control us, and this is a perfect way to do it. Now, nothing says it better than this UK sitcom from back in the 70s, where it's like them just kind of there to try and come up with the plan. So it's you'll hear a laugh track in the background and everything, but I think it's a comical way of showing what actually happened legitimately with these people that are in power, right? So watch this. Or listen if you're on the radio.
Returned with the answer to all your problems. Global warming.
I thought you were against it.
Everybody's against it, Prime Minister. I suddenly realized that is the beauty of it. We can get a unanimous agreement with all of our European partners to do something about it.
But how can we do something about something that isn't happening?
It's much easier to solve an imaginary problem than a real one.
Do you believe it's real?
Do you?
I don't know.
Neither do I. I haven't got the faintest idea. But it doesn't matter what we think. If everyone else thinks it's real, they'll all want to stop it, so long as it doesn't cost too much. So the question now is, what are we going to do about it?
But if it isn't happening, what can we do about it?
Oh, there's so much we can do, Prime Minister. We can impose taxes. We can stiffen European rules about carbon emissions, rubbish disposal. We can make massive investments in wind turbines. We can, in fact, Prime Minister, under your leadership, agree to save the world.
Well, I like that.
But Russia, India, China, Brazil, they'll never cooperate.
Well, they don't have to. We simply ask them to review their emissions policy.
And will they?
Yes, and then they'll decide not to change it. So we'll set up a series of international conferences. Meanwhile, Prime Minister, you can talk about the future of the planet. Yes. You can look statesmanlike, and it'll be 50 years before anybody can possibly prove you're wrong.
And you can explain away anything you said before by saying the computer models were flawed.
The voters will love me.
You'll have more government expenditure.
Yes. How will we pay for it? We're broke.
We impose a special global warming tax on fuel now, but we phase in the actual expenditure gradually. Say over 50 years.
That will get us out of the hole now.
The Germans will be pleased. They have a big green movement.
And we can even get the frogs on board, as long as they get more benefits than everyone else.
Okay, my broadcast is on Sunday morning. You have a day to get the conference to agree.
That's not a problem. The delegates will be desperate for something to announce when they get home.
So again, right, a comical view, a comical look at what, basically happens behind the scenes when, world leaders, and if you have a criminal cartel of world leaders, getting together, coming up with the next scheme, the next racket, if you will, another way to increase your power and control is what any organization wants to do, right? And so, and some people say, where are you getting all this stuff? There's nothing to back that up or whatever, right? So President Bush, just thankfully, the first one, Herbert Walker, was able to announce this new coalition of the world leaders to get together and form what he coined the New World Order. But it was already coined before he announced it. But he came right out and announced that from that day when he was giving the State of the Union address, that and it's also called the 1,000 Points of Light speech, he was able to announce the New World Order, this new cartel of world leaders who are going to give us this new world. And it's been being developed, and it's been implemented ever since. But it was being planned before this, just like we saw from that kind of comical take on them planning a scheme like that. But here you go. Here it is.
What is at stake is more than one small country. It is a big idea, a new world order, where diverse nations are drawn together in common cause to achieve the universal aspirations of mankind: peace and security, freedom, and the rule of law.
So I say we must clean the house of white America of racism. Americans who are in the white majority should be proud to stand up and be heard denouncing the sort of racist rhetoric we heard on that tape, so loudly and clearly denouncing it that our black fellow citizens can hear us. White racism may be black.
Yeah, and so I let it play because I haven't played that video in a while, and I thought, well, maybe he was going to address the New World Order as well. But no, it was just the first part that I wanted to shed light on, with Herbert Walker Bush announcing the New World Order. Now, you might say, well, that was an old thing. It probably didn't even happen or whatever. But Mark Carney just wants us to know that it's actually alive and well. And again, thanks to Jerome for sharing this video, along with other ones, which I wish I had the opportunity to share. But Mark Carney just recently, and I know a lot of you on the show are already aware of this speech that he gave. And he doesn't give these speeches in Canada for some reason. He goes over to the European Union, which I think he thinks he's more a part of than being the Prime Minister of Canada somehow. But anyways, he's also saying, no, it's alive and well, and we are not going to be looking backward. We're looking forward to our new world order. Everything's on pace, just like Herbert Walker Bush announced.
A world that's more dangerous and divided. A time where the rules-based international, the global order, rules-based global order is under threat, in a time when technological change is accelerating. And we really have two choices as a jurisdiction, as a country in this circumstance. We can nostalgically look back and long for the old order to somehow return, or we can build a new one with purpose and partnership.
There you have it, folks. Mark Carney confirms that the New World Order is here thanks to liberals voting him in. If that's actually true, maybe he would have won anyway. And that, you know what? Don't be nostalgic about your past anymore, because it's never, ever coming back, because we're here. We are here. Wow, that makes me feel sick.
And as the most European of the non-European countries, Canada looks first to the European Union.
Why exactly is it that Mark Carney keeps making key announcements and speeches and plans about what he is doing to us, what he wants to do to us in Brussels, in the EU, at these summits, and not with Canadian media? He's not doing this in Canadian Parliament. He's not doing this to the people who will be living under his decisions. That alone should be raising all kinds of insanely huge red flags. The fact that our prime minister has been on foreign outlets talking about his game plan more than he has in his own country.
President Trump tends to be A, transactional, and B, very personal.
Okay, there you go. So again, these videos just go on and on and on. But there you have it. So Mark Carney, not really Canada's prime minister. He's a global representative of the global cartel. He's one of the architects of the design of this carbon credit, new carbon economy, which is going to basically kill the economy of the world, but make a few people very rich. It's a huge wealth transfer. It's going to make a lot of people poor. And it's really going to do a lot of havoc to the world. But again, it's part of a criminal cartel, and one that, if not stopped, will, I don't know, pretty powerful people in some pretty powerful positions doing some pretty powerful things. So on a global scale, a lot of this is out of your and my control. The first step is to be aware of it, to see it, and to know what you can do personally in your particular life to at least, make people aware of it, if anything, without coming across like a conspiracy theorist. It just is a fact. And but what will it do? I don't know. What good can it do? It is still, the verdict is still out. But what I do know definitely is that we're out of time right now on the show. And we'll be back same time, same place, God willing, tomorrow on the same platforms. Stay tuned now for your shot daily on CKLU 96.7 FM. Thanks for being with us today, everyone. Thanks for getting through the show with me. Felt a bit rusty because just haven't been on for a couple days, and I'm always hesitant and feel inadequate when I just haven't been doing it for a couple days. That's all it takes is a couple days. But I feel like I'm kind of back at it and looking forward to seeing y'all again tomorrow. Remember to stay aware and like, share, take care, and we'll see you tomorrow. Everyone stay safe. Ciao for now.
This is Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift.